Bonjour and welcome to the French Rugby Show. I am your host, Chris Saltani. Let's roll the intro. We are back after a week off of the top 14, and during that time off, the first weekend of the Rugby World Cup kicked off in Japan, and what a couple of days of the Rugby World Cup it has been. Already some upsets with Fiji losing to Uruguay, Russia giving Japan a scare in the first game of the World Cup, some controversy already in the World Cup, and also everything else you need in the World Cup with exciting games, fans enjoying themselves, and a great showing for rugby on the world stage. But this show is not called the Rugby World Cup Show, no. It's called the French Rugby Show, and we talk all things top 14 rugby. Let's get into it before we go into round 5 of the top 14. Let's have a look at the tables where the teams are sitting. As expected, Lyon and Bordeaux are up there, both not having lost a game this year, posting up then third. We see some teams around the top 6 there that will definitely stay in the top 6, and then some teams will drop out of the top 6. And then we go towards the bottom of the table with Toulouse sitting 12th, Paris 13th, and Brive 14th. Now just to recap of round 4, these were the scores, some big upsets there. La Rochelle getting the win over Toulouse, Bayonne beating Bayonne, Lyon dominating Brive, Clermont losing to Po, which was definitely an upset. I did not see that coming. Bordeaux dominating Paris, Agen getting the victory over Montpellier, and then Toulon just edging out Racing to get the win at home. News coming out of top 14 with an awesome start for the first block of the season. Lyon's young centre, Jean-Louis Barassi, getting the call up to the French team to replace Wesley Fofana, who had to forfeit his spot due to injury. A massive blow for UBB, Union Bordeaux-Bègles, with beast ball carrier Afa Amosa sustaining an injury in their win for Samoa against Russia, who will be out for the rest of the top 14 season. We wish you a speedy recovery, Alpha. Now to who's playing who in round 5 of the top 14. First game 3:30, Brive host Toulon, and then 3 games on the Canal Plus multiplex. Bayonne versus La Rochelle, Stade Toulouse against Po, Castres v Agen, and then the last game to round out Saturday, Racing versus Lyon. Then moving on to Sunday, Montpellier versus Bordeaux-Bègles at 12:30, and then Stade Francais Paris versus Clermont. Okay, let's preview these games. First game is Brive versus Toulon. This is going to be an important game for both teams. Brive need this win to keep their chances top 14 alive, and Toulon needs this win to keep their top 6 hopes alive as well. Either way, both teams need good performances, but I feel if Toulon rock up and their stars are on point and on fire with Julian Sarvea, Liam Messam, Reece Webb and that, then I think they can get the dub. Which my pick this weekend is Toulon to get the win over Brive. Alright, game 2, Bayonne versus La Rochelle. Bayonne is my new favourite team in the top 14. After their first block, they have shown that they have what it takes to potentially push for a top 6 spot. La Rochelle, on the other hand, are a team trying to find their feet in the competition. I'm sure as the season goes on, the La Rochelle that we know will slowly come good towards the end of the season. For this weekend, La Rochelle need to bring their A game to have any chance to get points away in Bayonne, especially after Bayonne on a high, having the solid performances at home. Even though they played Clermont first game, they lost, they still played really well, and then they played Castres in round 4 before the break and got the win there. I'm sticking with the home team in this one and going Bayonne to win over La Rochelle. Game 3, Stade Toulouse versus Po. From the opening block of the top 14, we can definitely see that the Stade Toulouse team is not the team that won the comp last year. I thought they had enough depth to keep the momentum going into their title defense season. The thing is, they do have the depth, but what they are missing is the X factor that these internationals are not there bring. You have the likes of Cheston Colby, Antoine Dupont, Ramos, Johan Huget, Roman Entamac and company. Now, all these guys have the X factor, and they bring that to the style of play that Toulouse play particularly well with these X factor players. Po are coming off from a surprise win beating Clermont in Clermont. I've said since the beginning of the French Rugby Show, if you have been following, that Po need to do something this season to merit their spot in the top 14. And they did that against Clermont, which I think in the recent history in top 14 is probably the biggest win that they've had. And after the performance that Po had against Clermont, I now think that it could be a chance that they could beat Toulouse. If they're going to beat Toulouse at any time, this would be the time to beat them without their X Factor players there. So I'm going for an upset for this weekend with Po getting the win over Toulouse in Toulouse. Keeping in mind, last year when Po played Toulouse in Toulouse, they got 70 points put on them. So this is my upset of the weekend, and I hope that it wasn't a fluke against Clermont and that they can back it up this weekend against Toulouse. Alright, game 4, Castres versus Agen. Castres have been disappointing this opening round of the top 14, not playing to their full potential and just looking like a team that doesn't know what's going on. They are definitely a long way away from the team that won the top 14 2 years ago. Agen, on the other hand, have been in a fight for their lives in the first block, getting humiliated against Toulon, getting a hard-fought win against Brive, losing on the last play against Po in Po, and then having a dominating win against Montpellier. Castres needs this win more than Agen, especially after losing their home game against Bordeaux. I'm going to say Castres for the win, but I'm not going to be surprised if Agen come up with the upset. If Castres don't win, there are going to be some questions that need some answers from both management and the players. Big game for Castres this weekend, we just have to wait and see. Game 5 for round 5 is my match of the round, and this is Racing versus Lyon. Racing were a bit hard done by in the first block, coming away with 1 win from 4. They come back home to La Défense Arena to take on the rampaging Lyon. If they can take it from the next step up from the 2 losses they had before the break, where they didn't play bad, it's just they just didn't finish, then I think they can give Lyon their first L for the season. The game against Toulouse was a nothing game. It was a game that could have been won by any team. And then the game against Toulon, they were just a bit unfortunate, but they managed to get the losing defensive point. Lyon have been next level with their gameplay this opening of the season. I would think if they keep doing what they're doing in attack and then solidify their defense, then they could walk away with the W. Racing to win, I think, over Lyon. I'm a bit on the fence about this. Nah, screw it. Racing to win. Alright, first game of Sunday, game 6, Montpellier versus Bordeaux. Big game this weekend for both teams. Montpellier undefeated at home are surely favourites to win if they were facing another team other than Bordeaux. Montpellier last game against Agen were underwhelming, to where many people thought they should have won at Agen, including myself, which I think they already went with the mindset of that they were going to win and were a bit overconfident. This weekend they need to keep their mind on the job. If they don't, then Bordeaux could very well hand in their first loss at home. Bordeaux can win away and in tough conditions, which they have shown in the game against Castres in Castres. If they can keep the consistency and be able to execute, then I don't see why they can't get the win in Montpellier against Montpellier. So who will I pick? I just think Bordeaux are at another level compared to Montpellier, and I think that they could get the job done against Montpellier in Montpellier for Bordeaux to get the win, if that makes sense. Okay, last game of round 5 is Stade Francais versus Clermont. Stade Francais need this game and they need to win big. They're the only team this season who have conceded more than 40 points twice already in the 4 games of the season. If they win, they need to put a good performance in and win big. Easier said than done, especially coming against Clermont. Clermont losing against Po at home would have done something to the team morale, especially losing against a team like Po at home, who didn't win because they played better, but because of mistakes and rookie mistakes is what happens when you go with a mindset against a team like that in Po. Clermont just need to go back to what they've been doing in the beginning of the season and just play running rugby on the front foot of Jake McIntyre. It's going to be a tough contest, and whatever team rocks up on the day will get the win. But I'm hoping and I'm going with the men in pink to get the W in this game. So that wraps up the previous show of round 5 of the top 14. If you're part of the French Rugby Show tipping contest, then don't forget to make your picks. You got till 1 hour before kickoff of the first game on Saturday to finalize your tips. If you haven't, you can join in on the fun and go to the link in the description below. Also, I'm opening a competition to win 2 tickets to the top 14 final in June 2020, which will be in Paris, which will include 2 nights stay at a hotel with 2 tickets to the finals. All you have to do is subscribe to the French Rugby Show and follow one of our social media pages and tag a friend who you would want to take with to the final. It's easy, it's simple. And as I said, you've got to be in it to win it. But we'll also be running competitions during the season as well more or less after World Cup, once the World Cup fizzles out, we'll have signed jerseys up for grabs, signed memorabilia, rugby balls, and just jersey giveaways and all that sort of stuff. That's it, nice and short today. Thank you for watching, thank you for your time. And if you want to support us, all you have to do is smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. If you have, thank you very much. And then comment and share with your friends. I'm your host, Chris Saltani. This is the French Rugby Show, signing out. À bientôt.